Okay, so let's first describe the car. Can you give a description of the vehicle?
Well, I wasn't really paying attention to the vehicle, more of the shriekness of their tires that they did. It was just a silver. It wasn't as small as like a little Toyota, a little bit bigger, but not a big one sedan. It was 4 doors.
So 4-door, mid. Did you say mid-size?
Yeah, probably mid-size. Wasn't brand new.
I mean, as you reflect back, do you remember anything specific about, other than being silver and being 4 doors, anything on that? You said it wasn't that new.
No, it wasn't like shiny, like you could tell it was. Like my crash, I just hit a 2004 Honda, kind of like older like that. You know, not that it was a piece of crap or anything, but it was, yeah.
It was a veteran car.
Yeah, grocery getter. And that's all I remember about it. It was just so fast. Like I wasn't really even looking at the car. It was like, what's this hastiness that this car's doing? This quickness. I didn't know what was going on. It was just weird. It was getting weird.
All right, Greg, what do you got?
Yeah, so we talked about that little T-Rex thing where your elbows are welded to your side. I watch when we're doing election coverage, you watch people put their elbows to their side. I've seen Trump do it. I've seen Hillary Clinton do it. I've seen Biden do it. Your hands sticking up this way don't make you look believable when you're close to the edge of your rib cage. I think I told you guys a story about being on stage, Mark, throwing a sword shot and the guy closing his elbows and putting his head down and taking a shot right to the scalp. It's human nature to create an exoskeleton when we're feeling compression or something's coming our way. She also then does a neck contact pretty severely at details about the car. She hasn't thought about whether it's 2-door, 4-door, what color it is, because it wasn't important to her story. The part we'll see that she has figured out is how the guy ended up in her house and that kind of thing. But how he showed up with a bunch of stuff in his hands and a knife, which car he got out of, which door, all that stuff doesn't look right. And she makes really hard eye contact. Again, in True Crime Workshop, we call that the romancer because I'm paying really close attention. I want to make sure that you're believing me. But as he asks questions, that blink rate goes up, and we associate blink rate with stress, regardless of what you want to call. Why? Her feet curl under her chair. And when I see a person's feet curl under the chair, I see anxiety, anxiousness, the need to be ready to do something, whether it's to inject information or to get away, whatever you want to call it, it's preparation. Her elbow movement is all gone away from her body. You don't see any more of it. I think what I'm seeing is something she's done over and over and over, the right level of detail. Bacon saving, just bullshit your way out of a chaotic situation. She strikes me as somebody who might have done that a time or two, and we'll see more of it as we go. But again, as you tell a story, if you've been in a really stressful situation, think of each of you. If you've been in an automobile accident and a cop first shows up, you're stressed when you first start, and as you tell the story, things lighten up. You get in an altercation at work and then you tell somebody about it, it loosens. But what we notice in people is that stress rises when they're trying to hide something, because inside her little head, she's got this thing running where she's already deconflicted and she's trying to pitch, and she's being forced to deconflict on the fly about what kind of vehicle, which door the guy got of, and that. Mark, what do you got?
Yeah, so she's being forced physically as well, because she's pinned right up against the wall. And I don't think it's just because she's in a sticky situation right now. The two detectives there are maximizing as much as they can the space that they take up. Have a look at the detective who's doing most of the questioning. You'll see that his arm is straight out in front of him. So he's maximizing all that space. I don't think I'll try and do it right now. If I go back a little bit here we go. And his legs are literally out like that. I mean, that takes ballet and yoga to be able to put your legs out as far, and then kind of jiggling around. So look, the reality is everybody is somewhat excited and nervous and taking up space or decreasing their space. It's quite a ballet that's going on here. Shout out to those detectives who really have got some good movement in their hip flexors. Certainly can't put any of them past the age of around 50, I would say, to still have that movement in their hip flexors. They're quite extraordinary. But in my mind, a little too much for this situation. I don't see why they need to maximize that much on this. Chase, what do you got on this one?
So I think I nodded too early when you were saying the interrogators have good, and I'm like, yeah.
Me too.
So what the interrogator is doing here is establishing a baseline. And this is what a lot of interrogators do, just asking known questions and observing behavioral indicators while a suspect is recalling or explaining just known information that's likely to be truthful. When you hear an innocent person, there's a few things you will likely never hear from them. The first is explaining their motive for insignificant actions. The second thing you'll not hear from an innocent person is needing to elaborate on insignificant details that weren't even asked about. And third, explanations that involve objects moving instead of people performing the actions. How she explains the car moving and not the man pulling into the driveway, like he pulled in, he pulled up. That's a different thing. And you're going to hear this later when she talks about a door mysteriously opening itself without a human being involved there. So you can take a look when this video comes back on to see which of those three little elements you see or hear in this video. Scott?
After the question, she rubs her leg. And quite often we take this as a deception cue because that's an adapter. She's adapting there. And I think that's what it is at this in this section. So I think that's an adapter because I think she's being deceptive. And just before that, she opens her hands and she shows an open-handed gesture. And every time I see that or think of that, I think of Mark. And I think of that thing as open-handed gesture. Anyway, that little meme. And then while at the same time she's doing that, she shows an expression of contempt, and that head goes, I think, to her right. Yeah, I think it's tilted to the right. And that translates in this specific situation as I don't know. We see her, that kind of thing. So we all know that in our culture as I don't know. If the hands were in front of her like this, they were coming out, then I would refer to those as mercy hands, as in please believe me. But you'd have to get rid of that little expression of contempt and the head to the side tilt. So just be like, please forgive me. You get a shoulder shrug with that. After illustrating the car size, she goes back to putting her fist against her neck. So that, again, is a self-soothing gesture coined by Joe Navarro. And again, it's one of those things where anytime someone touches their neck, that lets you know there's something up there. There's an issue there. There's stress there. When she illustrates with her hands, she talks about getting weird here. She's creating time. She's trying to add all this confusion in there to these detectives, so they'll be under the impression, there's so much going on I couldn't pay attention, because I'll talk about the creating a story in just a few minutes. But it's like when she starts moving her hands in a circle and stuff, she's talking about things getting weird. That's when she starts hinting at other things going on that they won't be aware of and she won't really be able to recall. It's when she starts talking about confusion. I think that's really important. This whole thing leaves me the impression she's being deceptive.
The eyewitness is you.
Okay, so let's first describe the car. Can you give a description of the vehicle?
Well, I wasn't really paying attention to the vehicle, more of the shriekness of their tires that they did. It was just a silver, wasn't as small as like a little Toyota, a little bit bigger, but not a big one sitting in. It was 4 doors.
So 4-door, you would say mid-size?
Yeah, probably mid-size. Wasn't brand new.
As you reflect back, do you remember anything specific about, other than being silver, being 4 doors, anything on that? You said it wasn't that new.
No,
anything else?
it wasn't like shiny, like you could tell it was. Like my crash, I just hit a 2004 Honda, kind of like older like that. Not that it was a piece of crap or anything, but it was, yeah.
It was a veteran car.
Yeah, grocery getter. And that's all I remember about it. It was just so fast. Like I wasn't really even looking at the car. It was like, what's this hastiness that this car's doing? This quickness. I didn't know what was going on. It was just weird. It was getting weird.
If you like this video, get the full body language breakdown and analysis on our main channel by clicking this video right here.